Hey everybody, it's Jack Graham and Frank Rosolino. It's Jack Graham with another video, Straight Talk with Jack. Thank you for taking some time and watching us. Thank you for those of you who subscribed and liked and all of that good stuff. If you haven't, please do. We're going to talk about 5 records today, 2 of which Frank Rosolino plays on. They are new, used records. One is new, which I think most of the things I've talked about, and probably will talk about, most of them are vintage recordings. I do buy new recordings, but a lot of those have been really talked about on other channels. How nice the jackets are, how great the mastering is. Like I say, if you're buying a Grunman or a Gray or a Smith or one of these mastering geniuses, most of the time they're going to be great. And the vinyl's great if it's pressed at, you know, one of the better pressing facilities. And people say, "Oh, this is great," because they're all good. They're all really, really, really good. There are some clunkers around, but the great mastering people in the pressing facilities do great work. So I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on that. Maybe a little bit, but not a whole lot. I just want to talk about a few things, a few new recordings. I found on Discogs, I think this came from Carolina Soul on Discogs, a recording of Howard Rumsey, Lighthouse Series, the Lighthouse All-Stars on Contemporary, in very good condition and very reasonably priced, $8.50 for this record. It's the old Contemporary label, and anything that was done in the Lighthouse series, there's 8 versions of Rumsey Lighthouse series. This is number 5. Gets this label. It says Lighthouse Series up on top of the little lighthouse. Back from 1957, and I have to tell you, it's hard to tell on the video how clean this vinyl is for $8.50. I'm sure it's going to sound, I listened to side A last night. I didn't listen to side B yet, but side A was very clean and very few clicks and pops. Very, very clean. This is not one of the contemporaries that are being reissued this year of the 5. The first one, of course, the Art Pepper has already been out. We talked about that in a prior video. This is one ought to be reissued eventually. They're all good. There's very few poor records done on Contemporary. They not only recorded well, they were picky on the music and the players and everything, but just some great players on here. We're featuring Frank Rosolino, one of my favorite trombone players. But the players on here, Frank Rosolino, Kamuka, Connie Condoli, Stan Levy on drums, Bob Cooper, Stu Williamson on trumpet also, Bob and Evelson, Claude Williamson, Stu's brother, on piano, Howard Rumsey on bass, and Bud Schenk on alto on different tracks. There's 9 different tracks on this record. Contemporary 3517, C 3517, high fidelity. From 1957. Contemporary, as I said many times, and as you've heard, just recording-wise is really good. They really have the process down, as well as great players. You know, Dan the Jazz Shepherd, who I recommend everybody listen to, really did a great talk about Contemporary. The white West Coast sound versus the black hard bop sound in New York, and the reasons for that. I'm not going to go through that either. I couldn't top Dan. If you haven't listened to it, go find it. He does a great job in teaching it. But there's just great players on here, great sounding record, and to get a copy like this for under $10, it's rewarding that when you buy something that says very good plus, it comes very good plus. No deception here. Great record. I'm going to list the side B. Maybe when we're done with this this recording, while it's processing on the computer. The second record I got from, I think, the same place, Carolina Soul, is a Frank Rosolino. That's what's playing in the background here. This one, I think, was $10 or maybe 11 on the VSOP Mode record label. Frank Rosolino is one of my favorite trombone players. Technically, just really a great player, and had a really great sound. That when you hear Frank play, you know it's Frank. Great sound and very identifiable. Kind of a tragic life. He was a real funny guy, but I think under that facade, he had a lot of issues. I don't quite know what they were, but enough to make him commit suicide, and it's a long story. If you want to look that up, I'm sure you can look it up and read about it. It's very tragic, but man, what a great player, Frank Rosolino. And you know, on this recording, we have great players as well. We have Rich Camuca again on tenor, Vince Guaraldi from Peanuts and Charlie Brown, great player on piano, Monty Budwig on bass, and Stan Levy again on drums. This is not on contemporary, again, a VSOP, very special old phonography. Mode Records, Music of the Day, Frank Rosolino Quintet. I believe this was probably done back, I don't know, probably in the 60s, maybe late 50s, early 60s, probably, I'm guessing late 50s, but redone by VSOP in 1985, and a really good quality piece of vinyl here. You could tell when I get a record, I immediately replace the paper with MoFi sleeves, or the ones from Acoustic Sounds are good, and my guy up in Canada we'll talk about, I buy sleeves from him, and then put it in an outer sleeve, Mylar sleeve, and then keep the record here in the back, so there's no indentation on here when they're stored in a semi-compact way here on the shelves. This is a great record. So it's playing here in the background. I also have it on CD, and when you hear it on a record, man, you'll never listen to the CD anymore. I keep the CD on so I don't have to flip the thing over while we talk here. But Frank Rosolino, check him out if you don't know about him. Great sound. Third record I want to talk about is a new reissue from 1970 on Blue Note called Moon Rappin' by the great Jack McDuff on Hammond B3. This is a new record that has been redone. I don't know who did the mastering on this, but it's a reissue on Blue Note. You can see the label here. Not my cup of tea as far as music goes. I like the swinging B3 groups, the Jimmy Smith groups, and Joey DeFrancesco and those guys. This is a little funky, a little more contemporary back in the 70s when Blue Note and the rest of the record labels were trying to make some money, frankly, and go with the trends that were going on back in those days. There are some times that I really enjoy this record, and just when they're getting into a groove, they go back into some funk thing, and it's just not my style. If you may like it, if you do, it's okay, but it's not your swinging Hammond B3 trio sound, you know, where you have a Hammond organ, maybe Pat Martino on guitar, and a great drummer, a great alto player, maybe a Lou Donaldson or one of those guys. But it's an interesting record, recorded very well, sounds great. Another gentleman on here, the 45 RPM audio file I listened to from Germany, made a comment that the drums on here are just amazing, and he's 100% correct. So sound-wise, this thing's great. It's not my cup of tea musically, but it may be yours. Check it out. You can listen to some of the cuts on YouTube before you buy the record. But it's a great record. It's in stock at all, in Groove, whoever else you buy from, and probably in the stores. So, Moon Rappin', Jack McDuff. I want to talk about a really cool record. And again, this was off of Discogs. This came from Europe. And it came from Europe because John Coltrane recorded on, as we know, on Impulse Prestige, Blue Note, new Blue Train's coming, reissue in the fall, I hear. But this record is on Pablo Records. He did a bunch of concerts in Europe in the early 70s with Jimmy Garrison, Ella Jones, and McCoy Tyner. And this is one record off those concerts. There are a couple more. I believe OJC, Original Jazz Classics, reissued one of them. I think there are 3 or 4. I know there's a 7 CD set you can find of all the concerts. And I have to tell you, they bill this as the greatest concert performance. John Coltrane. That's a bold statement. I've got so many recordings of Coltrane, and probably equally as many, and I don't have. And they're all great. And how can you say which is the best? But this is awfully good. Recorded very well for a live concert back then. McCoy Tyner plays great on this record, as does Coltrane, obviously. He rarely makes a bad record. But 2 cuts, both about 17, 18 minutes, one on one side, one on the other. Training In and Bye Bye Blackbird. It's a great record if you can find it, and they're around. Pablo is a good quality. If you find a good quality Pablo record, it's going to sound good. It's a division RCA. They kind of know what they're doing. I believe this is a European pressing as well, if I remember right. And it is. It is. This is pressed in Germany. I don't know where, but made in Germany. So it's a German Pablo, and it's really good. If you can find it, there. A lot of people don't know. I didn't know that he did anything on Pablo until years ago when I found out that there was that CD set. But a couple records on Pablo, and they're all the European concerts. John Coltrane on Pablo. And finally, the last record I'd like to talk about is called Back to Back. Duke Ellington and Johnny Hodges play the blues. They're all blues on here. Wabash, Basin Street Blues, Beale Street Blues, St. Louis Blues, Royal Garden Blues. It's about 6, 8 cuts on here. Great players. I made a note here so I don't leave anybody out. Sam Jones on bass, Joe Jones on drums. The great Harry Edison, who we spent a lot of time on, plays great on this record. And Les Spann on guitar. Les Spann is he's a sideman that recorded with some groups on Prestige, probably Blue Note, back in the day. Pretty overlooked guitar player, plays well. You know, we know Montgomery, we know Kenny Burrell, we know, Grant Green. But Les Spann was a great player. More of a swing player than the other guys, I guess. It's kind of he didn't play in the style of a Grant Green, but played well and really does a good job on this record. This is a reissue on the Verve series, pressed at QRP, quality record pressings, and back in 2012, this came out. This is a pretty hard record to find. This version, this is the reissue, the Verve reissue. The first 1,000 are numbered, and I bought this used, but it's sealed, and it's number 736. So I got lucky. Maybe that's why I paid a little bit more for this than I should have. But being as it was sealed, I really wanted it. Just great players. Of course, the great Duke Ellington and Johnny Hodges, piano and alto. Johnny Hodges influenced so many players, Charlie Parker, right down the list, with his just beautiful sound. And of course, and with Duke on piano. Johnny Hodges, of course, you probably know, worked with Duke Ellington for many, many, many years. Was the real sound of that alto section. So to hear them in a studio recording that's just so superbly done, and then remastered on 180 gram vinyl and pressed at QRP, this thing is dead quiet. Now, I have not opened it yet. I have another version of this, not on QRP. I am going to open this because I want to hear it. It is numbered. It's sealed. Maybe I should hold on to it like some of the collectors do. But I buy records for music, and I know this is going to sound great. This just came in yesterday afternoon. This will be tonight's surprise. So, back to back. If you can get Johnny Hodges, Duke Ellington, and Harry Edison on one record, you know, forget it. It's got to be great, and it's one of my favorite records of all time here in my collection. And now I've got a much sonically better copy, so I can't wait to hear this. Anyhow, that's about it for today. Look for that Coltrane record on Pablo if you can find it, and check out Frank Rosolino, man. He just has a great sound, and it's such a shame that he had such a tragic life and it took the turn that it did. Many people remember him for that, not for his playing and for his kind of happy-go-lucky attitude, which obviously was covering up a lot of other things. But thank you all again. Please subscribe, like us, what have you. Comment anything you'd like maybe to talk about. I'll be happy to do that. I have some ideas coming up. We might spend some time with Phil Woods coming up. And I have some other ideas. So for now, thank you, and we'll see you next time.